All right already. All right. I've been picking up a little bit of impatience. So I think, some people in the chat of the massive chat audience expressing, a little bit of skepticism. Where are Ron and Danny? So I wanted to get right to it. How are you this evening?
I am doing so well. I'm exhausted. It was a busy week for me. I had a lot going on, a lot of projects, a lot of flying to do. What about you, Ron? How was your week?
This was not a great week. Not a great week. But it wasn't a terrible week.
Oh.
I don't mind. It's fine. I've got a little bit of a surprise. I get to do something fun next week on behalf of a very, very, very famous client of my law firm.
Ooh.
Inside of one of my specialties, I get to show up in court in person in a faraway land, or in a faraway state.
Oh.
Not as far away as Utah.
So still East Coast somewhere.
East Coast-ish, yeah. That kind of thing.
Hopefully it's Florida.
No, not Florida, but not far.
Oh, nice.
Not far.
Nice.
Anyway, in any event, it's okay. A little bit of hecticness. Anyway, but so what happened? You had this big trial, right? Let's say you the streamer.
Yes, as a streamer, I had a big trial, not as an attorney. Thank goodness. I don't need any big trials.
Now that you're an navigation specialist.
Yes.
You're not.
Yeah. I have entered.
Let's talk about the stream. Let's talk about that. But first, I want to talk about the trial.
Okay.
The stream. Tell me what happened, because I don't have the patience. I don't see how you people watch these trials. Litigation is really boring, but I love if you're in the moment.
Listen.
Have you ever fallen asleep during someone else's direct examination?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah. Especially if I'm sitting second chair, or if I'm in the audience and I'm just in the peanut gallery tossing my peanuts, I'm like, all right, wait, what happened? Are they done? Finally. Well, and especially when it comes to expert testimony, right? You get in the experts.
Oh my God.
And they're like, well, it's 1.6 trillionth of a times more likely that this DNA belonged to so-and-so. And you're just like, these numbers are too big. I'm too tired. I need my coffee. I haven't had enough coffee. And there's just never enough coffee for expert witness testimony.
There's just never enough coffee for expert. That's the old statement, the old saying. There's just never enough. Okay, so summarize. What happened in this big case?
Do you recall back 2016-ish to 2020-ish in Trump's America, the threats against journalism? There was all this kerfuffle. Trump and the Republicans are threatening journalism. They're going to go kill all the journalists. This was blasted from Kingdom Come everywhere. Okay. Well, turns out a journalist was killed, and specifically for political reasons. And it just so happened he had to have been killed by a Democrat. Allegedly. So this was the murder trial where Robert Tellis, who was a former public administrator for the county, Clark County, Nevada, was accused of murdering a journalist who had exposed a little love affair he had going on while he was in office, and also the hostile work environment he made for all of the old guard. Now, allegedly, his defense was, doesn't matter that you got me on video, doesn't matter that you have the DNA on the victim, my DNA on the victim, doesn't matter that you have video surveillance of my vehicle leaving my house, traveling to the victim's house, and then back after the murder. It doesn't matter that I have photos of the victim's place of residence and neighborhood on my phone that I downloaded a week prior to the alleged stabbing. It doesn't matter that my entire relationship, my wife, I lost my election to an opponent in my own office who had alleged that I was creating this hostile work environment and had sued me after that. That didn't matter at all. He didn't do it according to him. He was investigating some corruption in this house flipping scheme because he's the public administrator, right? So they were selling these homes in these probate estate homes, and it was really the contractors who were coming in and these real estate agents who were coming in, paying bottom dollar from the county, turning around, running just a complete scheme. And even though it's legal, and he admitted this during his own testimony, although it's legal, he felt it was terribly immoral and needed investigation.
That and had that go for him.
Well, he's not bad, surprisingly. So this gets me. So he represented himself for a short time, despite having 5. He was all upset that he wasn't, given a public defender, despite having 5 private properties that he and his wife rent out in other states and having more than enough assets to cover the cost of a defense attorney. Regardless, he fires his first 2 defense attorneys, ends up representing himself for a time, which was hilarious. Some of the best parts of this trial were all the pretrial motions where he claimed that that his human rights were being violated because although he had attempted to self-delete and he was, obviously under surveillance, he was only allowed 1 hour outside of his cell every day, and he was given cold meals on occasion. And so because of that, he deserved better housing accommodations. He deserved access to a law library. I mean, it just goes on and on. So anyway, he got 20 to life. So it could have been worse. It could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. He could have gotten life in prison. He could have gotten 50 years with the possibility of parole, but he got 20 to life. And I think it had something to do with the best part of the trial. Ron, you won't believe this. One of his defenses was, that guy couldn't have been me because look at how he's walking. And we all kind of go, oh no, he's not going down this path, is he? He goes, see how he's walking? I don't walk like that because in the office, I wear special shoes. Your Honor, may I demonstrate? This is what he says to the judge. Judge goes, yeah, go for it. So he says, he stands up and he goes, I am but a short man. He says, this is what I look like without my lifts. He says, see, these are the shoes I normally wear and they have lifts. They have a heel in them because I'm a short man. And so that couldn't have been me because I don't wear those shoes to the office, despite him not working in the office at the time. But I think that was the moment where the jury kind of went, he's short. We might as well give him a break.
Oh, really? That is an amazing thing to think that would be a way to get out of a couple of decades of well, all right, so wait a minute. He was sentenced.
Yes.
The verdict was a couple days ago, right?
Yep. Just 2 days ago, actually, not too long ago at all.
And the sentencing was immediately thereafter? Or was
yes.
It was
Yeah. So, well, the official sentencing is coming down, but they had like a state of Nevada, they allowed the jury to weigh in on the punishment and the penalties. So they went directly into the penalty phase. The jury recommended 20 to life. And so actual sentencing is scheduled for later next week. Pretty sure that's how it works. I don't know. I'm not a Nevada attorney. And it was great. I mean, everything about this trial, it was horrible. When I say great, I mean terrible. A really great journalist. What sounds to be a really great journalist, Jeff Garriman was the victim in this case, Jeff Garriman. And he was a veteran journalist. He had done a lot of in-depth reporting. He was an undercover journalist. We love those, right? We need more good investigative journalists. And he got stabbed in front of his house because he showed video of a politician exiting his vehicle with his lover during a lunch break. So there you have it.
That's a fairly what would you call it? Scandalous kind of case. That's the kind of thing that did you really rake it in? Are you ready to retire from this trial? I mean, that should have been a real moneymaker for you.
It wasn't bad. I made enough. I made all right. I mean, my chat is the best. It's viewers like you that make this all possible. So
viewers like you, not
yeah.
like me, because as I've already said, I don't have the patience to watch these things.
But it was entertaining. My chat was entertained. We had a few good laughs. We were shocked. The most shocking thing about this trial was not the fact that he claimed it wasn't him, despite having everything on video. That was not the shocker.
No, but let me just make that as clear. Not only was it on video, he claimed it wasn't him because he basically said, I would never wear shoes like. In other words, all he had to do was voluntarily depart from his normal practice. He's saying, I would never wear shoes. I wear shoes that usually have a lift on them, right?
Right.
So all he had to do is say, well, if I'm going to be videotaped, wouldn't this be a good way for me to disguise? That can't be me, because that guy has a mustache and bushy eyebrows.
Oh no, Ron. The disguise is even better. I forgot to mention the disguise. That's the best part. How did I miss this?
Oh, come on.
He dresses as a construction worker with a giant long brim straw hat and Nike shoes. And then they find the ripped up straw hat in his garage and the ripped up Nike shoes in his house underneath his couch. And they videotape the whole thing. And not only does he do the stabbing, he walks away and about 10 minutes later comes back to the scene of the crime because he must have left something there. We can only assume it was his cell phone or his keys.
Wild. Boy, this sounds like a fun case to go back and make a highlight reel out of. See, that's
good.
Of course, that would be really labor intensive.
It would be. Maybe worth it for the views. I'd do it for the views, man.
Well, you're kidding.
It is hilarious. And it doesn't help that the guy is the weirdest looking man I've ever seen in my life. Genuinely one of the weirdest looking defendants. He has this super high, so he's bald, which is, we're not going to hold that against him. But he also has this very tall forehead and he's bald. And so his head just sort of slopes back in a cone shape. And it doesn't help that he likes to wear construction orange while committing crimes. So we lovingly dubbed him the traffic cone.
The traffic cone.
He was the traffic cone case.
It sounds like see, you just reminded me that I'm bald and I want to get rid of some of the glare thing. Harmeet Dillon she wasn't referring to the bald spot because she doesn't have one, but she was the one who told me that I need to use makeup.
Oh.
So, and of course, when I went to buy the makeup in the drugstore, I had to dress differently because I didn't want to be seen buying makeup, right?
It's okay.
No, it's not okay. Okay, not in my circles.
It's okay to be a Democrat once in a while, Ron.
Well, did you see last night when someone suggested that maybe I would, let me show you. Here we go. Here was my Democrat moment.
Is that you?
It's a reface of me.
That's not bad, Ron.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I support this.
That was. Oh yeah, so this started out like this. This is in my hotel. My office is adjacent to a hotel, and I come downstairs, and I see all these black ladies. And I took this picture, had some fun with it, and then
you should click on it to make it a little larger for everybody, Ron.
That's amazing. Yes, actually, I'm amazed that came out that way.
There we go.
No, you can't. Can't you see it fully?
No, Ron.
No?
We can't. Mm-mm.
Okay, so well, what happened was someone said, okay, I said awkward. So then my friend, there's Danny. My friend Jim Hansen said, you can pull it off. And I said, okay, I'm going in. And yeah, that was my that moment for me.
I support that. I think it's a good look. It's a good look for you, Ron. You should try it sometime.
Well, I enjoyed being a girl.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with being a girl. There's actually a lot, but that's okay.
Okay, so listen, now that the entertainment portion of your week is now behind us, tell me about your professional part of your week.
Nothing, just a lot of drafting. What about you? How was your professional
No, but
week?
you have news. You're not sharing the news. Oh no,
I'm not sharing the news.
No, she's not sharing. Just a lot of drafting.
Just a lot of drafting. A lot of
drafting.
paperwork. Attorney things.
All right. Well, in any event, no, what I did was I read up on this financial. Remember you wanted to talk about? Yeah, so I'm ready for that.
Yes. So the Corporate Transparency Act.
Yeah.
This came to my attention. It was brought to my attention by a bunch of farmers, which doesn't surprise me at all. Farmers tend to be the canary in the coal mine when it comes to federal action and federal regulations. So if there's going to be a national implementation of any sort of regulation that will impact everyone, it's going to come through the farmers. They'll be the first to notice. Well, this Corporate Transparency Act applies to essentially everyone. Let me go down the list of exemptions very quickly. There's 23 in total. If you have one of these 23, if you're one of them, you don't have to comply. Everyone else has to comply. And before I go down the list, let me just quickly explain what this is. What the Corporate Transparency Act requires is that every single small business owner report to the federal government all potential and actual beneficial owners. And when I had first heard of this term, Ron, you've heard of beneficial ownership before, right?
I'm a lawyer.
In what context have you heard of a beneficial owner?
Well, I mean, it's who's really the owner, not whose name is on it.
Okay, yeah. And I've heard of it multiple times in international tax law. That's where I've heard it used most prevalently. But there are 23 exceptions to who you don't need to report or what entities don't need to report to the feds. Security reporting issuer, governmental authority, bank, credit union, depository institution, holding company, money services businesses, broker or dealer in securities, security exchange or clearing agency, an exchange act registry and entity, investment company or investment advisor, venture capital fund advisor, insurance company, state licensed insurance provider, commodity exchange act registered entity, an accounting firm, public utility, financial market utility, pooled investment vehicle, tax exempt entity, entity assisting a tax exempt entity. Does that count law firms? Who knows? Larger.
No, that seems to be a question that is of some concern to the American Bar Association. And this is actually a couple years old now, but
yes. Well, it's come through Congress in multiple iterations, right? So every time it comes through, it's been shut down. It got vetoed by Trump. It's been vetoed multiple times. But let me read you the last 3 exempted entities. Large operating company, subsidiary of certain exempt entities, and an inactive entity. Well, this whole thing, the whole purpose, allegedly, the intent in its creation was we want to ensure that small shell companies are not involved in money laundering activities, bribery, terrorism, naughty international crimes. Great. So who would you expect to be involved in those shell organizations, Ron? All of the list of entities I just listed, but they're exempt from reporting. And entities like law firms, any small business, any business that has less than 20 employees and earns less than 3 million a year, it's an and, not an or, they have to report. Or no, it is an or. Excuse me, it's an and or. So if you have less than 20 employees and your law firm is raking in, let's say 400 million a year, you still have to report.
Any law firm with fewer than 20 employees that's raking in 400 million a year, they should have to report. I'm fine with that. That's very suspicious.
I'm not. I'm really not, because
of course, because you're a libertarian.
Well, there are small law firms with specialists, right, who have very, very deep pockets in terms of clients, right? And they have their own little war chest. Why should they have to report? And isn't that a violation of their duties? And it goes beyond that. If you are, let's say that you dabble in OnlyFans, for example. You own an OnlyFans account and you earn maybe 4 million a year. Okay. But that 4 million a year comes through 6 or 7 different donors. They are your primary donors to your OnlyFans accounts. Okay. They're your primary clientele. They have a direct influence on the outcome of your business model. As a matter of fact, they direct your business directly. They can say, do this, do that, do this, do that. They pay for the right to do that. Are they beneficial owners? And do you need to report their name, birth date, social security number, address? And on top of that, Ron, you have to keep all this information active. There's an active reporting requirement. So if you don't know where so-and-so disappeared to, you can be held liable for that. And I think that the fine is $500 a day, up to 2 years in jail, and $10,000 fine maximum.
Well, wait, but why is it really? What's an analogous case where a customer? These are the customers. What's an analogous case where a customer has been found to be a beneficial owner of a service?
That's the scary part, Ron. We don't have that. We don't know. And because the language is so broad, and they've opened up for public comment what a beneficial owner means in the context of this regulation, it's very, very broad, the definition that they have right now. So what scares me is that the feds are going to use this to go after whomever they would like, or to find that so-and-so failed to report so-and-so, and now we're going to go after you for a failure to report.
And what this ABA article that you sent to me points out is that for lawyers also, there's this gigantic problem. I mean, what you identified is a gigantic problem for lots of people. It also raises the issue of lawyers are frequently asked to set up companies to help people maintain their anonymity. Even shell companies can be an absolutely legitimate securities or tax optimization. I mean, the IRS regulations recognize the legitimacy. You have to do things properly, but you can do them. And what the purpose of this legislation is. So whenever you find two is's next to each other in a sentence, you've done something wrong. Your sentence, you should never be is, unless you're saying it depends on what the meaning of the word is. Because that's different. That's Bill Clinton. But the purpose of this legislation is there's a lot of money laundering going on. There's a lot of money and illicit activities, and a lot of tax, what's the word? Tax, not avoidance, but what is it called when you go beyond
Like a
tax
tax
planning?
haven? No.
Well, tax haven. There's a lot of funny business going on, and the globalists, both from the globalist point of view, but also from the plain old law enforcement point of view, there are legitimate concerns. It's just another way for the government to criminalize and to suck information out of society. And there's like no way to stop it. There's no way to stop them.
Well, here I think the way that we stop it is we demand that Congress do something about this. Basically come in and get rid of it. The other option is we sue. And I think suing is not a bad option either. What's frustrating to me about this, Ron, is when you're talking about inactive companies or entities, what was one of in all of these exemptions, you know who would have been exempt from reporting? Now they have requirements under other statutes that are already in place, but they're exempt from reporting as banks. Well, Chase Bank knowingly helped funnel money from Jeffrey Epstein and his illicit activities into different shell companies in the US Virgin Islands. And what did they get? A little tap on the wrist. The SEO of Chase Bank was using his Chase app to pay for girls from Jeffrey Epstein. We know this. This is all admitted to. This is in the SEC filings. This is in everything else. So it clearly it wasn't enough. What laws are already on the books and being enforced is not enough to stop this money laundering or to address the money laundering issue within the institutions that already have the requirement. And these are the largest institutions with the greatest ability to enforce these regulations against themselves and against those who want to participate in commerce with them.
Now, do go on.
So what's frustrating to me about this is if you read through the how to file, it says, well, you can file as an attorney. How do I advise my client on what is a beneficial owner? If I misadvise my client, now the feds have all of this information that they have no business knowing about and potential tax liability and implications against these quote unquote beneficial owners who may have zero interest in the actual business.
This is one you might enjoy, folks. Israeli extremist settler violence. If you're an Israeli citizen, if you're an Israeli and you're a settler in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, they can lock your money up if they're using this for foreign policy. Okay. Whatever little policies they want, they're going to use the banking system. Russian oligarchs, it's a little bit creepy. Yeah, FinCEN.
You're essentially a bomb around everyone around you for the feds to come in and gather information and spy on other Americans, non-Americans, everyone.
Now, what do you think, though, the effect of the Chevron decision might be on this very broadly written statute that is to be, enabled through the use of agency promulgated regulations?
We don't know yet because they're in the rulemaking phase. My guess is that they will rely on other understandings of what a beneficial owner is, both in well, and here's what's scary. I think they'll go to the FinCEN application. The courts will. The courts will look at the way that the agency has been utilizing a beneficial owner definition in other areas of their, formation statute or whatever it's called, the birthing statute. They'll go and they'll look at that and look at the history of how it's been interpreted by other courts, by the agency, how it's been applied. And what's scary to me about that is that if you look at these other cases, you're absolutely right. It looks to foreign policy. It looks towards foreign definitions that have been adopted by the agency and basically put into statute without having to put it into statute.
So one problem, right? You on the one hand, Chevron gives you an opportunity. It'll be easier to sue than it was in the Chevron deference era. On the other hand, you mentioned like really, you have a really sensitive database or business or something. You can't sue unless there's an actual problem. Folks, you can't go to a judge in federal court and say, I don't have an OnlyFans, but I saw this live stream and I might want to have one someday, but I'm not going to set one up unless I know that I can keep that, the people who are customers of the OnlyFans are not beneficial owners. So, judge, can you issue an advisory opinion? You can't get an advisory opinion from a federal court. There has to be an actual case or controversy. So you can't seek a declaratory judgment for hypothetical situations, meaning that the risk is already hanging over your head before you can do anything about it in court. There will definitely be, I'm sure there must already be challenges.
Oh, there are, but unfortunately not from where I want to see them from. I don't see any AG challenges to this. So one of the AGs that I would think would have an interest in suing the feds over this would be Wyoming, because Wyoming has implemented.
Why didn't I think of it? Of course, Wyoming.
Yeah. So for those who are unaware, Wyoming is notoriously, or infamously rather, or famously for people like me who are a fan of privacy, and especially privacy when you're creating an entity. So you can go to Wyoming and they have certain protections to protect your privacy. And there's only certain things you need to report when you go to establish any sort of public entity. Now, what's interesting is they also have something called a DAO. Have you ever heard of this?
No, please.
So a DAO is a form of an entity. It's a DAO LLC. And it's basically it's a decentralized autonomous organization.
I actually didn't realize that you were talking about the same DAO. I did some trademark work for someone who had a DAO. Yeah.
The same. So
yeah, I mean, it sounds like bullshit to me, to tell you the truth. It sounds like the NFTs of corporate organization. But okay, let's hear it.
So here's the thing is that it has a decentralized governing body, including multiple members and stakeholders. You purchase some level of ownership in whatever crypto exchange you have, or actual financial exchange you may have, to have some ownership in the DAO. Well, you heard in the list of entities that don't need to report, that one of them is a security vehicle. Right? So if you're using the entity purely as a vehicle for securities or for some financial pass through, then you don't need to report. Here's the thing. Have the courts decided, has SEC decided, or the FTC decided whether or not Bitcoin or other crypto constitutes a security yet? Because if it is, then you don't need to report, or do you need to report? Beyond that, don't states have the right to determine what is required to form an entity in their own states?
That's a great question.
And is this not a violation of their rights? If they say you don't need to provide ownership information, and then the feds are coming in and saying, actually, you do. Not only do you need to provide ownership information, but also all the information relating to beneficial owners.
So who might have? Okay, so here's the thing about attorneys general. The cottage industry of attorneys general as sort of I favor what has been done by Texas and Missouri and many other states, going in and challenging federal overreach in the name of their citizens. I think it's a great idea. But I do think there is a little bit of attorney general exhaustion, is that the word I want? They're a little tired of it in the Supreme Court. I think they're beginning to, the signals that I think people are picking up is that they might want the Fifth Circuit to not be quite so receptive to what attorneys general say. Let's put that aside. And those guys are pretty busy right now. And I love the tweets that some of these guys, put out, Paxton and here's where we're going after next. Who else do you think might have maybe a DAO itself would have standing, or is there such a thing? It's funny. There should be a DAO of DAOs. Mm-hmm. But if not, there should be some kind of organization or conference or something. So that might end up getting challenged. But it really does seem that as you pointed out when first talking about this, and I don't know quite how much patience our audience has, because this is a real lawyerly topic, but it is a very broadly written statute, and it does give a tremendous amount of power to the federal government. And gosh, let me just throw this up again. It's such a creepy. It almost looks like something that from a B movie. Mm-hmm. Like if you told me, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, they can do anything. It's the Treasury. They control everything that happens with money. An official website of the United States government. Hopefully the courts will, I do think one thing that's happened is that I've often talked about how courts are socialized, that they develop consensuses about topics in an unhealthy way frequently. Like during the Trump election cases, which I was involved in to some extent. I can't believe Rudy Giuliani didn't rat me out. I give him all the credit in the world.
Next time he goes to court, we'll have to stand outside and applaud him.
But
and that's just so evil. Targeting attorneys for their licenses, for defending their clients and the interest of their clients is beyond.
And there are a lot of different levels to that, right? Because it's on the one hand, it's terrible when they do it when there's activism, when people, try to trash people through their firms and social networking. But for bar associations in states with we have a unitary bar or bar ethics committees or courts to turn these into, to disbar people. It is so crooked. And it's unprecedented. Mm-hmm. And it's become the norm here. It's really distressing. You're 100% right about that. What was I saying though?
Your concern is that the courts come to a consensus, and so
what happened in what happened in the Trump litigation was once the first couple of courts threw these claims out, it became this consensus among judges that these cases were all garbage, and that was wrong. That was really a terrible disservice, because there was plenty of evidence, and they simply were not considered. Same thing happened with the COVID cases.
I was just about to say COVID vaccines. Think about once it actually, the employee requirement, once it got to the Supreme Court, what was it that one of our Supreme Court justices said? 200, what did she say? 280,000 or 80,000 children she had read died of COVID that morning. Or over the course of COVID.
That was Sotomayor. Yeah.
And I just went, what are you making? Are you all right? Are you mentally there?
No, it's bad. No, so the point. So on the other hand,
yeah,
I do sense that judges are getting a little bit of a message that there are limits, that the federal trimming back federal government overreach is okay. That, like it's almost as if the Second Circuit would acknowledge that there's a Second Amendment. I mean, there are these cultures within the courts. So it shouldn't have to be, but folks, it shouldn't have to be this way. It shouldn't have to be that there's so much riding on what judges do. There's supposed to be some sense of responsibility by legislatures and executives, and that's just gone. I mean, in New York State and New York City, and also in places, not only San Francisco. I mean, there are lots of really kooky places in the country now where they pass legislation and local ordinances fully knowing that they're absolutely unenforceable and unconstitutional, and that they're going to be struck down. But that's not their problem. They're playing to the extremists and the activists and the donors in the parties. The thing about the financial crimes stuff is that, as I said, it's very lawyerly, and it seems to most people that it doesn't implicate them. Oh, this is stuff this is rich people. Well, guess what? Look at one of the topics. What the hell is this doing on the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network?
Oh, I'm sure there's all sorts of, DEI, ESG proponent type nonsense in here. And that's what it is. It's to silence the little man. Let's say you have Bob, and Bob decides to help you out in your business. So he gives you, as a friend, he gives you like $15,000, and he says, "Hey man, go start your business. Here's some advice." Is he a beneficial owner? No one else donated. No one else helped you out. He's going to influence the decisions that you make as a company. And if Bob, let's say, has an opinion that the courts don't care for, or has an opinion that doesn't match the going globalist narrative, and you fail to report Bob, you're going to shut Bob up real quick, or you'll report Bob and then he'll by nature shut up. This is a free speech cooling act. That's what this is.
America, this is your moment. I mean, do you think is there grassroots? I mean, other than litigation, do you think there's any kind of, again, the reason I pointed this out is on the one hand, I think there might be an inclination for people to think that this is not really to their concern, but also it's really abstract. It's not an everyday kind of thing. I mean, for a lot of people, guns are like a really everyday kind of thing, and for a lot of people, bake me a cake, and there are all kinds of things that people can really identify with a lot more readily.
Here's what people relate to: doxing. Okay. There's a general rule on the internet. You don't dox. Okay. Back in the old Wild West days, when the internet first started up, nobody put their actual information online because you knew that you were going to likely be the victim of identity theft. There were all sorts of problems that could arise. So you just used an online avatar, an online persona. And everyone used that to protect themselves. And they were able to freely speak their mind because they knew that there wasn't going to be some sort of real life consequence or real life punishment, as there shouldn't be, by the way. Let me just say that. I think an online sphere presents a true public forum to express freedom of thought without the consequences of in real world punishment.
Does or should?
It should. It should present an opportunity for a true marketplace of ideas.
In other words, you should be able to be anonymous.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, I do think that when you state an opinion anonymously, I'm entitled to take it less seriously.
Mm-hmm.
That's my subjective choice. But you have a right to say it. But okay, so doxing, you brought that up.
So doxing. So what this law does is it doxes people in the real life, in the real world. It is doxing people and giving up their information to the feds. It is creating connections in the real world that the feds would otherwise have no interest in, knowledge of, and punishing lawful, law-abiding citizens who may
That's
have
a great
some
point.
interest in a small business and silencing them by saying, well, the eye of Sauron is on you now. So you best be careful what you say, because I know that you didn't report that your friend moved to a new address a couple of months ago when you were supposed to. And the fine for non-compliance is $500 a day, up to 2 years in prison, and $10,000 fines. That is the weight that this law carries against you. So you better be quiet. You better sit down. You better do what you're told. You better stick to the party line, whatever the going pervade, whatever the line is right now. Sky is pink, men are women, whatever absurdity you are required to repeat, you will repeat, because otherwise the state will keep its eye on you and you will be punished.
Speaking of punishment, this is that's the worst segue ever. Thank you. Thank you, Emil. $2 for Room NK. I don't know what that means.
There are a couple super chats I promised that we would read at the end.
And here's something about broads.
I know a little bit of something about that.
KW is a slippery slope because it's so broad. It's so broad.
Yep.
Oh, I should have picked this up a long time ago. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
You read this one, Dani. So it has meaning to you, obviously, and your people.
KW, who's the best, says, Dani, thank you. Now I walk around the house saying, boop, boop, and it makes me happy, which makes me happy as well. Thank you so very much, KW, and I wish you the best. Emil, $2 super chat. Let's go. Thank you, Emil. Another $2 super chat.
He is such a great cheerleader.
He may be one of my beneficial owners. We're slowly coming online. And think about it that way too. Hold on, Ron, before we keep going. Think about how many people don't want to invest in my small business because they specifically don't want the feds having access to all of their information. There's a very small but strong segment of society still that would like to have some level of anonymity and not have the federal government breathing down their back.
That is a great point. And you would think that would be, we seem to still be in this place where once you talk about security and safety, we just fold. All the civil liberties go out the window.
Right.
Now, KW She's sorry.
She should not be sorry. She's excellent. I'm a forensic accountant. She's our resident forensic accountant. She makes all the big bucks. That's why she donates so heavily to the channel, and we are so grateful for it. I am going to get triggered by this or excited. Both, KW. You make money anyway. That's the blessing of being a forensic accountant.
Everyone knows I'm an accountant, right? By Rocky Patera.
No.
Okay, let's take a little timeline cleanse here.
But while you're doing that, I just want to finish this thought here very quickly, Ron.
Yeah, I'm going to set it up. So you go do that.
And that is my frustration with the lack of enforcement of regulations that are already on the books that would already help alleviate, deviate, eliminate a lot of the money laundering and criminal activity that already exists across borders and within our own country. But they are not properly enforced. They aren't even investigated. So that's what gets me. While the FBI has been going after Trump, going after Trump supporters, going after parents who are showing up at their local school board meetings, okay? The FBI has been so busy doing all of that that the DOJ found that they were negligent in enforcing laws that would protect children from children being trafficked. That just came out. It was a huge story. FBI drops the ball yet again. So these are the same people who are asking us law-abiding citizens, us good people, who are doing nothing wrong, who are not criminals, who should not be subject to the government knowing everything about us all of the time, who should have some right to anonymity and privacy. We're being punished, but the FBI goes on unabated, doing nothing. But of course, the intent isn't to silence us. The intent isn't to make us change the way we spend our money, the way we invest, what campaigns we donate to. That's not the intent of this. Of course not. It's to protect the kids. Won't we just think about the kids? Meanwhile, the FBI, they're getting a little slap on the wrist by the DOJ. I can't hear you, Ron.
I had too many things open. Okay. If that, I said, if there's even a slap on the wrist, I mean, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's awful. But now we've gone we're going to go from child trafficking to I'm an accountant. Okay, guys, I'm going to enlighten you with this. This is just an incredible meme, and you're going to thank me. Maybe some of you already know about it.
It's true. It is nice.
I just want to make it clear that this has how many gazillion views? 6 million views.
Nice.
Guys really talented. So, and KW, never apologize for being an accountant. And I guess the point is that if you're a struggling actor, if you say I'm a waiter, right, then everyone knows. Or if you say an actor, that they know you're really a waiter. Oop. More of your people, my people. You have people who Okay, $3. She never called anybody fat, or at least Emil and Dani. Who have you called fat?
Oh no, he's saying he has never called me or Emil fat.
Or Emil fat, right? But
it's not true. He has called me fat on multiple occasions. He thinks I'm portly. Yeah,
I find that hard to believe.
It's true. Ask him. Well, don't ask him because he'll just tell you he's never ever said that. So there you go.
Well, but then maybe he'll give us money for answering. So, I don't mind that.
I mean, maybe.
Okay. That is super chats for now. I say to you, there's a lot of other stuff going on, Dani. And I think we should address it. Evidently, Miss Kamala Harris made her voice heard tonight.
Can we show a portion of the interview? Will we get in trouble?
Yeah, let me pull that up, huh?
I have to see it. And I have to tell you something, Ron. I have found what I find most disgusting about Mr. Waltz. Not the lying about his past or lying about doing IVF. IUI is not the same thing. If that is even what they did, okay? What bothers me is how he walks.
How he lies?
No, how he walks.
How he walks.
Have you seen this man enter a room?
Well, I guess he wouldn't normally walk that way, but he has.
It is so absurd. No, I have yet to see a video of him walking with any level of dignity. This man prances into a room like a 5-year-old child, super excited that you made him cookies. He's dancing around, he's flopping around, he's got arms left, right, waving, goofiest smile I've ever seen. I'm like, go. Somebody get this guy a Xanax and maybe some Jackson juice. He's got to calm down. Somebody's got to talk to him. And it bothers me. You've seen my walk, Ron. You've seen my walk. It's in the
That's true. It's a manly walk.
I've got a power walk. You have to have a power walk. All right.
Okay, let's
start that video, if you will.
This is the one that everyone has seen already because it was this was the highlight. This was the one the one that they pushed out right up front.
We can't hear it. I can't hear it. Did you share the audio when you went to present?
You can't hear it.
So you need to present with audio. So if you close that and then re-share, there will be a little box that says share audio as well or play audio. It's at the bottom of the StreamYard.
Yeah. You would think that, right? Present, share screen, right?
And Eileen, I don't always complain about people's appearances. That's not true. We've been very clear about this. I only complain about the appearances and make fun of politicians. Okay? We make fun of politicians, obviously guilty defendants where the evidence is so overwhelming that there's no way in hell that justice is served by them walking. Okay? And I had one other rule. But right now, those two come to mind, okay? If you're a politician, you're fair game.
That it is an urgent matter, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We had that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter.
As opposed to deadlines around what?
Okay, so that was the first. Now they're coming out. Now the more of these.
There's more.
Oh yeah, there are more. Let's see. This is just a picture. But yet, listen. I have to admit, I'm in a. Oh, this is the one where she explains how her values stayed the same. I think we definitely want to. This is a little bit longer. So present screen this to Judy Butch, Alex Thompson share.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident?
So she asks the question and gives her two answers to choose from because she knows she's dealing with an imbecile. So she says, it's like they had an old joke in the Soviet Union. The teacher gives out an essay question: is children, today's assignment is write an essay is who's the greatest leader in the history of socialism and why was it Joseph Stalin? Okay. So let's
Democratic primary, and should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter.
What's your dad doing here? Like
That's not. It's her lap puppy.
I mean, what the hell what's his job here?
Can I get my emotional support animal? Hold on, he's barking.
To which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
Wait a second. Did she just start out talking about the Green New Deal, then talk about Inflation Reduction Act?
I need you to translate because it's not clicking for me. Maybe she's playing 4D language chess or chess. I just don't understand.
When we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example, that value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed.
Hold on. Can we listen to that last part again? Because she transitioned to prosecuting
that value is not
immigrants
around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed.
Amazing. That is really something. Her values have not changed. Okay. That makes, I don't think we have any kind of monopoly on reactions to this stuff.
But Ron, what does she mean?
Her values haven't changed, Dani.
About what?
She definitely has values about, like, deadlines are super important because they can deadlines, not just deadlines, but deadlines that are, let me put it, chronologically oriented. Okay.
Why are you got me on that?
Deadlines that have time components. They are they're based on what the calendar. Okay. So that's something that you have to have. And we, the whole globe, the whole globe, when we set those deadlines, we didn't set them on China or India, but we set them on ourselves, and greenhouse gases.
Right. I got that one.
And there was the same thing with
Border policy.
The border. Maybe you've heard about the border. Values
Yeah.
have not changed. The values have not changed. Values have not. The border.
Mhm.
She had those values. Those values are still the same now.
So she's in favor of open borders because that's what she's
No.
had the
It doesn't
last
matter
20
what.
years?
They didn't. Danny, I don't know why you're not getting this. The values have always been the same. They've always been the same. I don't know why you have to drill down to these specifics. Open borders, close. The main thing is the values, and they have not changed. Just like time doesn't really change unless you're unburdened
By
by its passage, but that doesn't.
Right.
You don't have to be unless it's a deadline. If there's a deadline,
Based
obviously
on-
there's going to be a certain amount of burden. I know, but which brings me up to being a prosecutor.
Oh, okay.
Because she was attorney general for two, and look at California, paradigm of law and order, right?
Sure. Right.
Maybe, I don't know whether or not she is, but the values, no cambio. Okay? That means no, I know, really means no money change.
So
I don't know,
the
listen,
values don't change though. We got that.
yes, well,
Ron, I need some more Kamala quotes before we wrap it tonight. It's been a weird week. This is bringing me a little bit of confusion and joy that I didn't know I needed in life.
you want me to find a little more Kamala?
If you may, if you could, I'd appreciate it. This has been fun. I have not tried to decipher anything Kamala Harris has ever said, actually, because I can't. So
Well-
I need a translator, someone who's
Well,
brilliant.
you know what might help is the sort of a palate cleanser. Again, and what better palate cleanser than really, I think, someone who is the epitome of clarity and truth. That would be, of course, Tim Walz.
Oh, he spoke too?
Know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been 40 years.
Ron, I can translate this one. I can translate
the
this
idea
one.
that you said.
Wow.
May I?
Let's experience it again, burdened by a deadline of time, because this simply deserves a good, because there might be people who are actually doing other things instead of listening. Please listen closely to this one, folks, because even though Dani picked it right up because she's sharp as a knife, this could,
whether it's Congress or the governor, my
I'm
record
Tim
speaks for
Walz sharp.
itself.
Country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools.
I know exactly what he's doing here, Ron. Ron, I've done this in interviews for jobs. So what you do is you don't answer the question being asked. You answer the question you wish they'd have asked you. And what you do is you kind of like shoot an arrow through the forest, and when it lands on the tree, you draw the bullseye around the arrow. So what he did here is he said, look, I'm like the rest of you guys. I also lie and over exaggerate about my competency and my work history to get a job. Also, did I mention that I'm super Democrat? Let me remind you, I am super Democrat, and these evil Republicans are letting kids get shot in schools, and we must stop them, because that's the important part here. I can translate for Tim Waltz. I agree with him. He is like the rest of us. He does over exaggerate the amount of expertise and experience he has in his.
Well, he is unlike us. He's unlike most of the rest of us in an important way. He's never had a job outside the public sector.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
Let's hear the rest of his. Let's see how far he moves away from the question that was asked.
And around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for.
I've been lying about it for a long, long time.
So.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you?
Yes. She's following up on the question she asked a CNN reporter, and a particularly partisan one, is so bothered by having her question ignored that she is putting aside her duty as a press spokesperson for the Democratic Party to do a follow-up and say, okay, Gimp, but can we please return to the question I asked you?
To speak, as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons.
Did I mention school shootings? I'm anti. I'm the anti-school shooting guy.
Weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's.
His grammar's not good? What about his wife?
One thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's.
Another member's something. Okay, what?
It's not this. It's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's.
Yeah, remember, I have no idea what the hell he's talking about with the dog.
What's with the dog?
Wasn't there some video of him abusing a dog? Wasn't? No? Yeah, maybe.
I'm never gonna look this up. When did you hear that? His doggy got attacked. Yeah, they attacked his doggy.
In other words, it's not about whether I lied. It's about the attacks on me. Well, listen.
It's the Republicans pouncing again.
Pounce Master Flash.
Hold on.
Dog. Yeah, we're both looking. Oh, there are kids.
What?
So this seems to be okay. I don't think this is not a Romney situation where he was abusing a dog. Right. This is apparently there's been some stolen dog valor.
Which one's his dog? Are
Yes,
they both his dog?
Well,
Wait a second. This is some Stalin powers, right? There is some photoshopping going on here. What? That is a black Labrador Retriever. Okay.
June 15th, 2022.
That's Scout, allegedly.
October 19th.
Is not a black lab. That is an Australian cow dog.
So here's what happened. Okay. The first Scout ran away. He ran away. So they got a different scout.
Oh, so they're replaceable, just like the president. That's my takeaway. This is just a
So here,
right now.
what do you think of this potential community note?
Oh, I didn't even notice that. It's from a
This one-
dog park. That
So
Tim
that's from a
Walker-
dog park.
Okay, wait. What did he say with the photo?
So the,
What
pho-
was his-
so the photo on the right is from a dog park that Tim Walz was at with Scout and many other dogs. In the
Okay,
video,
But
Scout
why
can be
did he use the emoji that looks like the dog that he's petting instead of the emoji that looks like Scout? Because if you look at the other post, the emoji at the end is a black Labrador retriever.
yeah.
Yeah, go back. There you go. See, black paws to indicate
Our
Scout.
our favorite pup, Scout. You picked up on the paws. See, I
Yeah,
would never have picked up on that, especially against the black background.
Right. And now go to the next one. Look at that. Scout
know
really
s-
enjoyed it. And now there's leaves with a dog that looks not like Scout.
So readers added context. This actually got through community notes. I actually think this note is not helpful
No,
because
it's
is
opinion or speculation. They
opinion
have
or
no clue.
speculation. Okay, I have just done that, and who knows how that will go into the algorithm on my behalf or otherwise. So that's the dog issue.
No, you know what's a dog issue is when JD Vance allowed his very well trained, obvious working line German Shepherd to walk right beside him down the stairs and into the car and back without a leash. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And how
Well, actually,
upset
no.
the
I'm
Democrats
not sure I
were?
do.
So the Democrats got ticked off because JD Vance walked his dog without a leash. His dog was so well trained, unlike the president's dog that has since been retired to some farm up north. Who knows? Hold on, dog. Yeah, he got all sorts of crap for just walking his very well trained dog outside without a leash on because the dog didn't need a leash because it's actually well trained. And everybody said, oh, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. So now he has to put a poor lead on the dang dog. It's upsetting. It's upsetting. As someone who likes to train dogs, you and I have talked about this. I like training animals. I like training dogs, especially. And that dog is very well behaved. And everybody jumped on him for it. And I'm still confused.
I missed that one, but let's face it. So I thought this was a good time to bring up Emil's old super chat here for the emotional puppers. Since it's a dog topic, and I also want to thank KW.
Oh wow!
A very nice, generous gift. These are all your people, my people. I don't have any people.
We'll get you people. People are coming.
That's okay. I'm happy. And KW, of course, is a dog as well. So that's a very nice thought. But back to yes, he ran away. Actually, and you know what? He ran away, and now he's in a farm upstate. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
Yep.
200.
Okay, I have the video. Hold on, I need to share this. Yeah.
Okay.
This is important we share this because it adds context to what happens after the dog video. So here's the dog, beautiful German Shepherd, right? Watch. He walks down the stairs. Oh, wait, I'm presenting, but there we go. Comes down the stairs, dog stops, looks for JD, follows him into the vehicle, waits for his cue, jumps on in. Okay? Now, if you search JD Vance with dog, you'll see all of these articles pop up that says, does he even know how to walk a dog? Because he was forced to put the dog on a leash because everybody said it was unsafe, that he was walking without one. And you can see that the dog is uncomfortable. It's not JD Vance. He's fine walking him on a lead. The dog does not want to walk on the lead. The dog is far more comfortable without, but it doesn't matter. Nobody actually cares about, whether or not the dog is happy and fine and well trained. What people care about are all about optics, which pisses me off. Speaking about optics, the fact that the media is pouncing or getting on top of Donald Trump for taking photos at Arlington Cemetery at the behest and request of our fallen soldiers who should have never died in Afghanistan in the first place, all to provide cover for the current administration and their failures in Afghanistan. And frankly, the military should be just as embarrassed for going along with this. I'm sorry.
God.
It's disgusting.
So let me throw this out. I mean, everyone has seen this story now.
They're all my people, but they're all donating to your channel. Look at that, Ron.
Yes, isn't that Hunch? Thank you, you dirty roofer. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Oh,
you've been rejected. You rejected Island.
I do not reject you. I love you. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for your gift. So there are a million, but did you see this one? These bastards.
At Abbey Gate. What would you say? Barnett invited the former president to Arlington. Her son, Marine Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, died at Abbey Gate. What would you say to people who may be pro-Trump, anti-Trump, whatever their politics might be, who just feel like that's not a place for politicians or for politics?
I would have to say, are you in my shoes? I invited him. My son was murdered under the Biden-Harris administration.
Barnett invited the former president.
Who the hell is this guy? Who? And I actually responded to this asking, oh yeah, I'm very clever, so I'm going to throw this one up again too. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Because I like to tag people, and okay, and here's the response.
NBC.
Nobody. Oh, see, look. Adam Moreira, has some kind of foreign name, thinks I have a dual loyalty problem.
You know what his problem is okay, and this is a problem with a lot of Americans who read this story. They have no idea how difficult it is to unseat an incumbent and how many privileges incumbents have. So, for example, the president can go and take as many photo ops as he'd like at Arlington Cemetery, and it's legal, lawful, appropriate, policy-driven, totally fine. The president, Biden, could go there and say Trump is going to bring on another World War III. All of these young men have died in vain, blah, 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 and can absolutely use them as political props. The former president, Donald Trump, did not do that. All he did was show up and honor the men and women who died and sacrificed their life for our country, who were killed needlessly.
Let's be honest. In the reason they invited President Trump was to embarrass President Biden. That was a political choice. But that's the privilege of being a Gold Star mother. You get to do that.
Yep.
MSNBC doesn't get to decide that.
Yep.
And oh my gosh, the Army came out with a statement.
This doesn't surprise me at all. My friend went to work as a policy advisor for the Army. She's no longer my friend. She is just they are all in this very sick state of being. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. The policies that run all of our branches are very sick right now. And it's inviting a lack of security, in my opinion. National
Of course it
security.
is. Absolutely.
It's deadly. The consequences are terrifying to me. The fact that, the military is more willing to pay for transgender hormone therapy than they are veterans for injuries incurred during service is disgusting to me. But it's just one of many, many policy decisions that the military has implemented that have put our lives at risk.
KW, welcome.
Hey!
You will never be rejected. Ron Coleman members are never rejected. And going back to the FinCEN, by the way.
Ron Coleman doesn't need any more of your guys' money. Get back to my chat. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, Emil, see, look at it's just rolling in now.
See?
We are going to be able to have that operation, Mom.
Timmy will walk again.
They're just rolling in. Thank you. You guys are just the bestest. Cat with issues, because we did do a bunch of dog stuff and not a lot of, so offline. Oh no, we actually in the last stream we did talk dogs and cats, didn't we? Or was that just right? We talk
in it almost every stream. We've talked about it. Also, KW sent me a $50 super chat. Thank you, KW. We really appreciate it. She says, "Thank you, Dani," and I am grateful.
Oh, that is awesome! Wow.
Thank you for sending it there so that YouTube doesn't get its cut and instead the U.S. government will. I appreciate it. Dude, screw the U.S. government. I am so tired of taxation. Can I just
all yours.
I sat down today with $1 in my hand because I had to go open a bank account and I had to deposit $1. And I realized as I'm sitting there holding my $1, the $1 was taxed before it was given to me. Before I received the $1, it was taxed. Now, when I put the $1 into a savings account, it will sit there until I spend the $1 where it will be taxed again. I cannot. My where I live is taxed. What I do is taxed. If I buy food, it's taxed. If I receive any type of service and I pay for any service, it's taxed. When I die, my estate is taxed. All of these taxes are just, you know what, Ron? We are so far afield from the very reasons we left Great Britain. We are so far afield of the very reasons the United States was founded.
100%. But we did it to ourselves. You and I, it was before we were born, but we traded it all in.
Well, and now Kamala Harris is wanting to tax your securities that you hold on to, that you don't sell or buy, and your crypto. If you just have crypto sitting out there, she wants to tax that too.
The crypto thing reminds me that's implicated in the FinCEN also. Because they want to get their hands on these assets that you don't really know about, that you haven't necessarily heard about, or that that of course what's increasingly happening is that crypto is coming into the financial system anyway. Okay, too many balls in the air here for me, especially because I have some more super chats that deserve some attention. Thank you for the boop, like and subscribe. Jingleberry making sure that the love is spread all around. Thank you very much.
What is that?
I think it's a kind of some kind of drink with a little umbrella in it or something.
I like drinks with umbrellas.
No, that's not what it is. Oh, Emil is just out of control.
Emil is great. We love Emil. And Emil is a veteran and has gone through hell and back. So we love you, Emil.
Thank you, Emil. Thank you for your contribution to us. We're Americans.
We are.
We're all Americans here, and we really we don't you know what Danny was just saying. There's an attack underway on everything. The people who want to take over this country and are taking over this country, they despise the fundamental things that we agree on. And what they're doing very successfully is getting us to snipe at each other over political tactics. Today, the big issue was this Florida amendment, right? The Amendment 4.
I have not heard of this.
You might have been too busy. So it involves. It is a okay. This is Governor DeSantis explaining it, and this is it's a good way to. Oh, let's see. Mm-hmm.
James is right. The division is more than orchestrated.
I'd say a couple things. One, what does the amendment do? Well, it completely eliminates not just the Heartbeat Protection Act, but also the 15-week protections, and even it eliminates parental consent for minors with respect to abortion. That's something that is in our statutes. It's something that's very common sense. This amendment would eliminate that. And abortion would be the one thing that a minor could go behind their parents' back and do without consent. Everything else in medical would require parental consent. They're taking this out. So it does eliminate an important parental right with this amendment. The other thing it does is it guarantees abortion all the way till the moment of birth. And it's written in a way to try to massage that. But basically, if you have a, quote, healthcare provider says that there should be an abortion, then you can do it. It doesn't even require a physician.
So that's what's at stake. And this is not going to be, are you getting into the justice flush there?
I am. It's upsetting. It's upsetting. I can't believe that we are advocating for the death of babies in the state of Florida. Meanwhile, we are being literally invaded by illegal immigrant gangs in Colorado, in Denver, that are literally taking over Aurora, Colorado. Have you seen what's going on in Colorado right now?
I have not.
And the police aren't doing anything about it. They're terrified because they all have hits on their heads.
Yes.
This is after a stream of robberies. I mean, we're being literally militarily invaded by these international crime syndicates, and we're arguing about whether or not we should have the right to kill our own babies.
Now, having said all this, my purpose in bringing that up was not to turn this into an abortion stream, but to back up my point about how they are doing this to us. Hold on a second. I want to. Okay, I don't know this account, but you'll just trust me. This is what's being tweeted out, and there are a million similar. Trump was asked at the press conference how he planned to vote, and he didn't handle it.
Position on abortion that was probably more popular with general election voters than many of your Republican rivals in the primary did. You said leave it to the states. Given that Florida is a state voting on that this fall, how do you plan to vote? Do you plan to support this?
The abortion issue has been very much tempered down, and I've answered, I think, very well in the debate, and it seems to be much less of an issue, especially for those where they have the exceptions, as you know. And I think it's when I look for 52 years, they wanted to bring abortion back to the states. They wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, and that's Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and everybody.
Okay, that was actually not the one. Here's the one I think.
Overturned Roe and you want abortion to be a states' rights issue. In Florida, the state that you are a resident of, there's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6 week is too short. It has to be more time. And so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I'm voting that I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. Look, just so you understand, everybody wanted Roe v. Wade terminated for years.
All right.
Well, he's getting killed. He's getting killed by the pro-life people. But the point here is,
Take a win. God damn.
where do they think they're going? Where do they think they're going? I mean, just, we don't. This is what's going on tonight. Here we have people who want to absolutely transform this country into a true cesspool, a pit, a hellish moral, hell, a hellish moral hell, bounded by the chronological time. I'm just gonna the last 20 minutes, I'm gonna just throw everything into here and the weapons of war. But and we're saying, well, Trump has let us down. I mean, look at this. This is the kind of thing that you're looking at. Here we go. I don't know who this person is. This makes me so furious. I cannot see straight. Trump is pissing all over Florida's heartbeat bill and will be voted for the Soros-funded amendment.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Ron, this is what gets me. Donald
Yes.
Trump has been the most pro-life president in American history. He has fought and advocated for and taken every measurable step you can take in order to protect the lives of the unborn. His personal opinion and the way that he votes personally, who cares? He's allowed to do that. That's the whole point, is that it goes back to the states, and each state should be able to make their own
You're
decision there.
thinking like a lawyer. You're thinking like a lawyer, but most people won't and don't.
Can we
And
just
thank
not
you.
thank him for the good work he's done?
Speaking of bad news, I want to thank the Bad News Badger. Danish taxes accounted for, and I appreciate the Danish krona. You thought I didn't know what Danish money was, right? But I do. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. People, it's a binary choice. It's Trump or it's Harris. If it's Harris, you can kiss it all goodbye. You want to talk about abortion? Harris is the one who prosecuted David Daleiden for going undercover and taking videos of the Planned Parenthood of the abortion business and getting them to admit that they were selling baby parts. These people are radicals, and you're not happy. I mean, and someone that made a good point earlier today. Pro-life people, I'm pro-life. Danny's pro-life.
Extremely pro-life. I think we both are.
You cannot throw away political reality. Mike Cernovich makes a great point. He says, if that's all that matters to you, why aren't you in jail? Why aren't you throwing yourself in front of clinics?
Why aren't you in jail right now? Why aren't you, involved in some sort of advocacy? Why aren't you out there engaged in some sort of civil disobedience? You're not, because you don't want to accept the consequences, but yet you're willing to sacrifice the rest of us. It's disgusting. It's upsetting. It's just upsetting because look at what we're dealing with. Ron, if she becomes president, this is only going to get worse. Go ahead and show what I'm showing here. There's nothing graphic. This is Aurora. These are the gangs going from apartment building to apartment building, picking out the residents and putting in whoever they want and robbing from them.
And what happens? People don't call the. I mean, what's going on?
They can't call the cops. The cops will not respond. The cops cannot defend against this. They have robbed in the past 3 weeks. They have robbed 3 different gun stores and cleared them out and handed them off to their buddies. And they are literal roving gangs. They go from apartment complex to apartment complex, kick out the residents, and move in whoever they would like. It's too generalized. It's too large of a problem for the police to deal with on a case-by-case basis. This is all happening in Aurora, Colorado right now. And this is only one. This is only one video. There's videos of them clearing out the parking lots. Look at this.
Over. They just jacked them?
Stealing cars, clearing out the Target, clearing out the Walmart.
Bro, damn, they done made a mess of shit.
There's
None
the
of this
Target.
happened
Look at
when
all that
Donald Trump was
merchandise.
president, folks.
Look at all that merchandise. Where's the National Guard?
Where's the president?
Where's
Who
the
the hell's the
president?
president? What
Where
happened
is-
to him? He's
where-
sleeping on the beach.
Of Venezuelan gangs.
These are
Information
Venezuelan
this
gangs.
morning,
The head of the CPB admitted that they knew that the Venezuelan government was saying you can get out of jail to these criminals. You can get out of jail. We'll release you from jail so long as you go up to the US and leave us be.
We're a failed state.
Yes.
We're a failed state. I don't even know.
Look at this. And you're going to sit here and tell me that I need to be worried about which way Trump is going to vote on an amendment in the state of Florida? We are
Folks.
beyond a failed state. We have no definite border. And maybe you should explain what a failed state is to those who don't know. If you don't have a border, if you don't have a resources, basic resources, think of it that way. Stable population, a border, a form of government, any form of government, and an ability to protect your borders, you don't have a state. You don't. And that is where we are at. And people are just, and they're worried about what? How Trump is going to click the box on his voting ballot? But who cares about the ballot when you literally are being invaded by gangs that are taking over cities, entire cities? And Aurora is not small. Denver is not small. You want me to care. You want me to care about so-and-so's dog or so-and-so's dog or, I don't. I simply don't. I care a lot more about FinCEN wanting to punish, good law-abiding citizens and the U.S. government's failure to prosecute child trafficking, to prosecute human trafficking, to prosecute gangs coming across the border from Venezuela and taking over our cities. Oh, and did you hear about the school bus that a bunch of migrants tried to kidnap? They stopped a school bus on its way to school, on its way to an elementary school. And who knows what they were going to do? My guess is take them for hostage, just like they did in Mexico, because this is what these drug cartels do. Do you remember that? They came and pulled over. Yeah. And then all of these poor kids ended up with their heads in the desert.
A failed state. This is a failed state. And everyone, it's funny. Everyone as I was talking about, leave New York. Why are you doing in the city? Why are you still there? It's Colorado. This is flyover country. We're safe. They've completely given this country over. And like you said, oh, come on, KW. You know I didn't mean you. It's exactly you who I don't mean. No, so again, I mean, you don't need Dani and Ron to tell you that this is a travesty. The point is, It's one way or the other. This stuff didn't happen ever. A country completely out of control like this, you may as well live in Ukraine. They're doing better. They're doing better.
Well, they should be with all the money we sent them.
Looks like they're doing rather well with the money we sent them.
Well, did you hear about our own missile shooting down our own plane today in Ukraine? That was
Oh no,
that was irony at its
no, I did not
finest.
pick that up. Well, folks, I will tell you, yeah, a very busy day of news, and oh no, I'm not talking about I'm talking about the United States as the failed state.
But to your point, K1, I have a lot of Venezuelan immigrant friends who are all very, very smart and conservative and fought for their country. And they will all tell you that that Venezuela became a failed state because of lawfare, because of corruption in law, and how politicians utilized how the bad guys became the politicians' puppets, their little own personal militias. So they would sick the gangs out on whoever, disagreed with them. So it wasn't state action. We didn't assassinate our political enemy. It was just a tragic accident, in a robbery gone bad. Yeah.
Okay, well,
That among other problems, but yeah, this is an ongoing problem, and it's disgusting to me that we care more about, Donald Trump and Governor Cox took a picture in front of the gravestones of men who shouldn't have died in the first place. How dare they? If only I had pearls to clutch, Ron.
okay, folks, you hear chat? Pearls. The lady needs pearls.
But that's all I have to say about that. I'm done. I'm done for the night. I apologize. I talk too much. This is very emotional. I didn't mean to get emotional. You're a streamer.
Okay, people come here to hear you talk.
Yeah, well, I talk quite a bit though. Now, Ron, you were on with some famous people.
I was.
Yes.
Who?
You were on with Michael Knowles.
Oh, but yeah, I have Michael on every once a year or so, and I think we're gonna get him back.
Well, if that's not a signal for you guys to subscribe, make sure you subscribe. He's got Michael Knowles. He's got all kinds of famous people coming on his channel, myself included. So make sure you're subscribed.
Right. Yeah. So here's a little reel that my people did of my Michael Knowles present. I don't even have any. I can't even keep track. Okay. What we saw in the last year with COVID was an attack on what we always thought of were the invulnerable sciences. In other words, we're not even going to have objective truth anymore in math and biology and medicine. And Facebook and YouTube are going to decide what we as grown adults, supposedly in a free country, can discuss as possible solutions to medical problems. What we saw in the last year with COVID was an attack on that's just me repeating myself. That's right. I had Michael on, and the featuring, and what's the feature? Ron Coleman talking to Michael, and he's agreeing with me. He's a real, he's a great guy, and he was one of my earliest. Well, the first video episode of Culmination. You guys know that I have my own. I have to do a little bit of a pitch here, right?
You should, yes, of course, grift away.
Yeah. So this is the blog. Okay, the blog. This is the podcast, the official podcast page, Culmination, and these are some some people more famous, some people less famous. Lots of cool people though. Everyone knows Ari Jacobs, the great Mark Randazza. I find people, and sometimes they find me. Oh, the man, Mr. Troublemaker. of the last couple of days. I don't know if you have been treated to the flame war between him and Julie Kelly. Boy, oh my goodness. And most of my friends, I mean, well, anyway, I had Julie on the show also. You can subscribe to the Culmination. It has its own channel. And, I urge you to do so. Why? Because then I become famous and wealthy, right? Yes.
As though you aren't. As though you aren't. I said you could grift. I didn't say you could lie.
This was last year, right? The human algorithm machine. Okay, the great and here
and Ron, I was just thinking about this Trump thing too, since you brought it up. For everyone calling Trump a liar and accusing him of lying, I think it takes a lot of courage to be honest about voting a certain way that will upset your voters.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that's right. I mean, he's talking about well, he has to answer the question one way or another, right? He can't just say, well, that's a private matter. I'm not going to talk about my vote. The question isn't really how you're voting. The question is, what's your position? Right? The question is, what's your position? And yeah, you're right. He's not really a politician.
Mm-mm.
He is. I mean, I'm not saying he never.
And Ron is gone. And I have taken over the channel. So everybody, please make sure you are subscribed to Dani on Direct if you haven't already. We have our stream quite often. And Ron is back.
A slip of the mouse. And suddenly I'm gone from my own stream. But not from, but luckily, see, that's the advantage of keeping it going.
Yes.
So yeah. Anyway, you were saying, go ahead. Yeah, give your pitch.
Oh, that was it. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button if you haven't already.
You can subscribe to this. We haven't made a separate channel for this because we're doing it every couple of weeks. We both do it through our own channels, but you can, I think, subscribe to the playlist. There's a playlist. You have the playlist on your channel also? You didn't get around? It was your idea.
Of course I do. Of course I do.
So so you can get notifications when we do a Transcontinental, and it's gonna be the biggest thing, the hugest, largest, most massive. You want to talk about unburdened by time? This stream is going to end up being unburdened by space or dimension. Except in the deadline sense. If you don't have deadlines, nothing works. You need to have the deadlines and also the values. The values. If your values can't change, it doesn't matter what you believe. Remember, as Linus Van Pelt, doesn't matter what you believe. He said this about the Great Pumpkin. As long as you're sincere. Or in the case of Kamala Harris, as long as you're utterly insincere. But your values don't change because they're non-existent. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, and if you're insincere, don't worry about it. Okay, we all like to talk. We all like to have our heart on our sleeve and talk like the rest of us, So insincerity, I don't know about insincere, but what I do know about is that it's important to like and subscribe to us so that you can save all the children, bring back rainbows and sunshine and unicorns and candy.
And make sure that meanie Trump who goes to the cemetery and lets them take pictures of him is not elected. Because that you know what that would do?
Right.
Democracy. Democracy out. It'll be he's
like the DNC. Yeah, you don't want to be like the DNC. I like democracy. You like democracy. We would like to
Right.
be able to vote for our leaders. Yeah, I agree.
All right. You know what you're hearing at this point? You're hearing, you know, throwaway stuff. We're playing it out for the last 5 minutes. We don't have to stay. Listen, you have your homes and your families to return to. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening and for your kind and generous contributions to our little hobby here. In the case of Dani, of course, this is her main gig. This and the other things that she does. She's got all kinds of things going on, and she built them through DAOs. I don't really understand why she does it
that was more word salad than Kamala Harris word salad. I'm like, get me some dressing for that, because I don't know what to do with you, Ron. But you know what? Ron's right. Keep the donations coming. Our little our little duct tape production would be nothing without you guys. We need more duct tape. We need more production. We can only
and more
do
wine.
And I would love. Are you drinking wine right now?
No, I don't drink alone. I hardly drink at all. I'm not much of a drinker.
I'm sober now, so I'm glad you're not drinking wine. My mentor,
you entitled to my full ADHD attention.
my mentor gave me Madeira. What is it? Madeira. I was addicted for a short time, and I'm really glad that I am now sober, because I never had a problem, but I could have had a problem. I like wine.
Well, you see, there you go. Some people have to watch it. Emil, thanks again. How appropriate for you. You start out the evening, you finish the evening, you're not
He's
just
in
bookends
again. He
either.
says, "Hold on."
Okay. I'm gonna pull a plug right here. Good night, everybody. I'm still waiting for an email from a lawyer who told me he's gonna file something in the middle of the night. It hasn't come yet, but maybe I'll have to get it from home.
You have 3 minutes left.
Well, no, I don't it's not a matter of filing, like it's not a deadline thing.
Oh, it's not a deadline. He just said he would get it to you tonight. You need rest. I need rest. We need rest. You all need rest. These were heavy topics. We
Peace
worked
out.
hard.
Good night, everyone. Thanks, Dani.